I never imagined my marriage would reach a point where my wife, Aisha, would suggest something so radical it felt like a punch to the gut. We had been together for 12 years, married for 9, with 2 children, and what I thought was a strong, loving bond. Yet one evening, over wine and the soft hum of our favorite playlist, she dropped the bomb. "I think we should try an open marriage," she said casually, as if discussing the weather. I choked on my drink. "What?" I managed to croak, my mind spinning. "Don't get me wrong," she continued, smiling, as if she was sharing an exciting secret. "I love you, but I need more excitement, freedom, a way to rediscover ourselves." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to say it was absurd. I wanted to scream. But deep down, a cold dread crept through me. Her tone wasn't joking, and I realized she had been thinking about this for a while. "I don't think I can do that," I said slowly. "I'm not comfortable with it." "Well," she shrugged, brushing off my concern. "We can just try it slowly. It's modern, it's exciting. Don't be so controlling." I knew then that she was serious, and that seriousness terrified me. For days I simmered. I tried talking to her again, reasoning, negotiating, explaining why I couldn't accept such an arrangement. She dismissed everything, every argument, every plea. She was determined, and that's when a strange, almost reckless idea began to form in my mind. Her younger sister, Nadia, had always been close to me. She was vibrant, intelligent, and had a mischievous streak that reminded me of Aisha before our marriage had dulled her spark. Over the years, we had shared harmless jokes, subtle glances, and inside stories that only we knew. I realized one night, sitting alone in our living room, that while Aisha was seeking freedom, I had the power to reclaim control, and perhaps even deliver a kind of revenge she would never see coming. I began spending more time with Nadia, initially under the pretext of helping her with her career ambitions, late-night coffee runs, study sessions, movie nights, all innocent, at least on the surface. But I was testing boundaries, gauging reactions, and, admittedly, feeling a thrill I hadn't experienced in years. Nadia noticed the change too. There was tension, curiosity, and a spark of something unspoken. She had her own frustrations with Aisha, her sister's arrogance, constant manipulations, and the way she belittled her under the guise of sisterly advice. Over time, what started as playful teasing turned into subtle intimacy. Shared secrets became whispered confessions. Accidental touches lingered. One night, after a small dinner I had invited Nadia to, the conversation shifted. She laughed at a joke I made, then leaned closer, her voice dropping. "You know," she said softly, "I've always found you interesting, maybe more than I should." My pulse raced. I looked at her carefully, seeing the curiosity mirrored in my own eyes. From that moment, the game began. I started orchestrating situations, solo trips, work-late excuses, subtle notes left for her. Each moment built tension, trust, and secrecy. I made sure nothing was overt at first, nothing that could be traced back or suspected by Aisha. Meanwhile, Aisha continued to push for her open marriage, oblivious to the fact that her suggestion had sparked a chain reaction that would shake her world. Weeks passed. Finally, one evening, alone at my apartment, Nadia and I crossed the line we had both been dancing around. The connection was electric, intoxicating, and forbidden. Yet it wasn't just desire, it was power. It was a statement. I felt in control in a way I hadn't since Aisha's initial proposal. I didn't announce it. I didn't tell anyone. I simply let it exist in the shadows while life at home continued. Aisha was busy pursuing her freedom, chatting with potential partners, arranging secret meetups, believing I was too traditional, too weak to act on anything. Then came the day I decided to make the ultimate move. Aisha returned from one of her outings, radiant, smiling, her eyes sparkling with the thrill of her newfound liberty. I waited until the children were asleep, then left a small note on the dining table. It read, "I know you wanted freedom. I found it too. No names, no accusations, just 3 simple lines." The next morning, Aisha confronted me, her voice sharp, suspicious. "What do you mean?" she demanded. I smiled calmly. "You wanted an open marriage. I explored my options too." Her face paled. Confusion, disbelief, and horror mingled in her expression. She looked around, suddenly seeing the world in a different light. She realized that her attempt to manipulate the marriage had opened a door she didn't control. Weeks later, the truth surfaced. Aisha had found subtle hints, messages, and eventually, undeniable proof. The shock was brutal. Her idea of a liberated, controlled experience had backfired spectacularly. She had underestimated the very person she thought was passive and predictable. I didn't gloat openly, but I felt satisfaction in the quiet, deliberate way I reclaimed my agency. The power dynamics had shifted. She had pushed for chaos, and I had met it with strategy, subtlety, and a twist she never anticipated. Nadia and I didn't rush to public acknowledgement. Our bond remained a secret, carefully maintained. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about control, empowerment, and reclaiming the dignity that had been threatened. Aisha eventually backed down from her open marriage fantasies, realizing the risks and consequences of manipulating love and trust. She learned, painfully, that her desire for freedom came with strings she couldn't manage. I, meanwhile, rebuilt my sense of self, my confidence, and a new understanding of boundaries. What started as betrayal and frustration became a lesson in strategy, patience, and quiet empowerment. In the end, the open marriage she sought never happened, and the chaos she wanted to impose on our lives became her undoing. And I emerged stronger, unbroken, and in control. Because sometimes, when someone tries to play with fire, the only way to survive is to light your own.